Hello, everyone. Welcome to our second introduction call about our work plan, about our home turf, so to say, GitHub, OS structural data, and then we will be talking today first about where we are going to do all the data work for this project, namely GitHub, and where we do our communication on Slack. Then in GitHub, I will show you the issues which we have all created by geographic regions. And I will show you a really handy way to keep track of your own work and of others' works in the Waffle. I want to quickly show you how the wiki works on GitHub, because that's a place where we will be sharing loads of information and how we're going to, because for us it's also a process of gathering more and more information about how we're going to do this data gathering work. So we're posting more and more resources about that on the wiki. And then we talk a bit about the kind of the work plan. So first the sourcing, then transforming, then the loading into the physical data package, and finally the presentation on the website that we're making for you. So let me start with hopefully the channel that's easiest and that you're all familiar with, our Slack. So if you haven't been on our Slack yet, please join us on all EU subsidy data.slack.com, and which is now in the group chat next to this one. And in this Slack channel, we have in our Slack, we have created several channels for you for the different themes that we want to create. So first of all, we of course have the general channel that's to talk to everyone. Then we have the simple introduction channel. If you're a beginner and you want to know how to set everything up, we have GitHub help. And we also have a Q&A, and the Q&A is meant for all questions. You can, by the way, ask them both in general and in Q&A. In Q&A, would be more kind of detailed questions. How do I do certain things? And then based on your questions in GitHub help and based on your questions in GitHub help and in the Q&A, we will also be creating YouTube tutorials such as the GitHub tutorial that Bela made. And then we have so far created the sourcing squad team, and we would invite everyone to join there because that's the hands-on data work. And as we said last time, it's really valuable to get your hands on the data itself. Then we have a Transformers channel for everyone who wants to dive into the data modeling itself. We have made a channel for the website where we start discussing the front end. We've made a channel for story time if you want to discuss hunches and stories together. And I think everyone is free to create channels if you feel like you need an extra team. And yeah, we assume that this will be used and growing quite naturally. So that's so far for the Slack. Hey, Matt, welcome. So then we're now moving to the GitHub, and probably I'm gonna do some technical things. You're gonna have some delay because I will be trying to share my screen properly with you, which I always do wrong. So there you go. You should now see my screen, everyone, and the OS data /EU structural funds. First of all, the EU structural funds has leave us all your GitHub names, and we will add you very specifically because this is part of the larger open spending universe, and we have made a specific team for us, and we are called the Structural Funds Hunters. We're only with 6 people so far. That's partially for us to blame because I have to add you all. So send me all your GitHub names if you haven't done so already, and I will add you here. So we will be the subsidy hunters, and in the subsidy hunters are living on the EU structural funds GitHub. How we've structured the GitHub is, and what you will be mostly, how GitHubs are structured in general is that if you scroll down, you will see the introduction a bit about the European structural funds themselves, and then how to contribute. And as Bela told you yesterday in the GitHub tutorial about how to branch and how to push and pull from your branch, or how to directly edit from your branch online. Then I will show you, I'm now went to EU structural funds and I clicked on data. And in data, we have created folders for all EU countries on national level. And if I then click on Austria, for example, Matt, could you maybe put your microphone off, or I will have to mute you, Matt, in terms of microphone, because you're just a sec. Okay, perfect. So as you see, for example, in Austria, here we have all the cantons in Austria have a code, 8011, for example, and that is Burgenland. And if you go down there, we have, in this case, already uploaded for you the 2 data sets, because we already happen to have those. And what we all ask your help with is within this, add a YAML file that Loic is going to tell you all about next week, a description YAML file that describes these 2 data sets. And I will show you now how we're gonna kind of structure this work through working with issues. I don't know how much Bela already told about issues yesterday, but I will quickly go through, for example, the issue that we were just looking at, the issue that belongs to the data file that we were just looking at, 8011 Burgenland. And then if you want to describe Burgenland in Austria, you describe it. The task is describe it in the YAML schema, put in the data sources there, indicate what the file format of the data sets are, and upload those if they're not there yet. We have put in all the information we've had so far. And what you then do is, if you are working on this one, and to make sure that everyone knows you're working on this one, and so no one does double work, you can add here. You can add a reaction, and you can leave a comment and say next to this issue, no one, assignees, no one, or assign yourself. So do assign yourself to it. As Bela made all the issues, he is participant to all the issues. But if you want to work on a particular region, assign it to yourself. That's how issues work.
Yeah, and maybe one more thing at this point, as you can see in this example, for example, for the ESF fund for 2014 to 2020, we don't have any data yet, which of course this time frame is not finished yet, so this might be normal, but you will find other cases where we simply weren't able to locate the data set yet. So in these cases, of course, you're invited to do some research and try to find it by yourself. And just always be aware that if you work with a data set, look at it and try to make sure that it is the right one, because it has been a lot of different data sets that we sourced here, so there might be cases where you will have to look again to find the correct one, for example. So don't take everything for granted, but yeah, just keep an open eye. And yeah, that's something I wanted to add at this point.
Yes, thank you very much, Bela. That's also something we keep on talking about when we're explaining how to source next week, but also something we will have to come back to. And if you ever, for example, you're working on some kind of obscure region, say, what I can say that I'm from the Netherlands, say somewhere deep down in the Netherlands, way below sea level, you found an obscure region and you find at least 5 different data sets for fisheries funds, for the European social funds, etc., etc. So then what? Do just contact us, discuss it, or throw it out in the open in the Q&A or in the general channel. Hey, how to solve this one? So you can discuss it in the Skype. Another way is to have a very focused discussion. So say, hey, I have issues with, I found so many different data sets. I'm working on issue, in this case, issue number 43. You paste in Slack, also paste your issue number, and then you can start writing here. Hey Bela, I couldn't find the 2014-2020 file, and then also assign others. Maybe you know of, also ask very specifically, you can always ask others who you know live in the region or are locals, etc., etc. So really make this a genuine effort. It's a ton of data. It is sometimes hard to find, but if we manage to, all of us, describe about 5 of these regions, the different data sets, we have done an amazing job already in bringing this all together. Now I want to show you the next thing that we will be using, which is, I will quickly stop sharing my screen so you can see me again. The next thing I will be sharing my screen for will be Waffle.io. Waffle is not something you have to use in particular. We use it in the coordination of this project because it gives us a really nice overview. So I wanted to show it to you in any case. And then you can simply work with the issues, assign yourself to an issue as we just showed you, and have the discussions about the issue. Now we'll share your screen, my screen for Waffle.io, so that you have an idea what we will be using, and you're very, very welcome to also use that to structure your own world. So here we go. Screen share for Waffle.io. Present to everyone. Here you see the Waffle.io. My backlog has automatically has all the open issues. Then we have issues that we called under sourcing. And all these sourcing issues, as you can see, it's all the different issues we just saw in the issue line. Here we have our beloved issue number 43, Burgerland. And the cool thing is here, you can do the exact same thing as you can do in the issues on GitHub itself, as you see here. I can write, I can preview, but I can also, you can also add an extra bar where you say in progress, where I'm working on, etc., etc. So that you have, if you get really into this, and we really hope you get really into this, is that you say, these are my 5 issues, and so that you don't have to go through the issue files to find where you were assigned to again. And then you can also commit directly from Waffle. And if you move them, and then you can move them to done. So that is what we will be using to structure our work through Waffle. Then I want to talk to you quickly about about the general work plan. I will again share my screen and yet another part of the screen. And this is so we have been talking about sourcing, transforming, uploading data quite a bit. And Loic is going to next week talk about all these different bits and the nitty-gritty technical details of that next week. What I now want to do is give you a rough overview. So as we said, we have gathered all the different data sets, and by bringing them on geographical level together and then write a small file that describes all these different columns, it's then really easy for us to afterwards take all these columns and in a transformation file take all these different column names and then automatically change all the single files into all the same data model. It's all going to be the same very, very large file, and so they will all look the same. And because we go from files in Germany that usually only contain 5 columns, files in the Netherlands that at least contain 10 to 15 columns, what we're going to do is basically transform all these the raw data sources into all the same data model, where probably every file will have, instead of, for example, the German 5 columns, it will have these 30, but because Germany only have 5 columns, that means that 25 of these columns are empty, but the first 5 do have the basic information about projects that we need to have to visualize, to compare, etc., etc., etc. But because the Netherlands, for example, has so many columns, we have to make them all eventually the same model. Once they're the same model, we map them against a data standard, the fiscal data package. And by mapping them against that, we automatically can use that to bring all this data into the open spending repository. And with that, we get access to a wealth of tools and visualizations. And once we've done that, we basically have the data usable and useful. As you see here, that's what I now describe basically is the red line you see in the middle. So from raw data to fiscal data to then open spending. And then we load that into the front end that we will be working on all together. What we decided on will be called, we decided Wednesday that will be called subsidystories.eu, and there we will present all this data, and then it's up to you to make your analysis, to use that data as a starting point, to explore your hunches, to present stories, and that is then going to be the output of that's the core of our project. So so much for what we so much for the work plan of this of our project, and then finally what I in terms of staging, we're now, as you've noticed, we're working really hard alongside you to get everything ready for everyone to join in, to jump in. We are still very thrilled how much people are on board. We keep on making these videos, these explanations. And next week, so now we are, as we call it, in the sourcing phase. We're really focusing on describing the first data sets and the first getting the data model ready for you. And that is what we will be doing in the first stage. Then we are going to work on transforming, and the loading then has to happen in bulk. However, simultaneously, we start to build up our front end, and steadily and slowly, you can start seeing your first data sets, visualizing the first things, and start on the stories. But for now, it's sourcing time. Bela?
Yes.
Yes, go on.
The sourcing time, should I explain it a little bit in more detail?
Loic will send you around a very invitation next week for really the hands-on explanation of how we're going to source it, and probably make a screencast. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do add to it, Bela.
Yes, I mean, for now, I think this is everything that we can tell you. Loic, as Anna just said, will prepare the YAML file. The YAML file is in the end basically a way to describe the data set. That is going to be finished in the next days, and it will be sent around to you and explained by Loic. And don't worry if you now, Marta, because I just saw you just joined, don't worry if you now missed the broadcast. It is recorded and you can watch it again. And so, yeah, there's, of course, for you also the opportunity to learn about where we're at in the project and where we're heading next.
Great. Yeah, so bottom line, more to come next week. We're talking all about sourcing basically next week, and in the meantime, we're working so hard to get all the schemas, all the code lists, and everything ready for you. So that's what we're gonna get back to. And have a lovely Friday and a good weekend.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Everyone. Bye.